and welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo Sport. For today's video we're taking a look at the FIA Nations round number 1 in the new season of the exhibition seasons. So for this race, this really was a bit of a disaster for myself. This was slot number 2 of the day, so we did race 1. It was pretty static again with the dirty air getting stuck in a lot of slipstreams. And qualifying went a little bit better in race 1. We actually did a reasonable lap. It wasn't particularly amazing, but it was a solid lap. In this race, qualifying was an absolute disaster. Didn't hook the lap up. I think we nearly binned it actually on the lap. Carried on, finished the lap off just about. I was actually going to give up on that, but it got us around. I think it was P13. Let's just go through the grid now. You see Calster in this lobby. Quite a very strong lobby now. This video is going to be covering many issues with the game. We're not going to talk too much about the point system in this video because the new point system, in my opinion, is a complete failure. We've already compared a lot of different lobbies. I've seen various screenshots now from lobbies going down all the way down to I think split 7, and there is a clear problem with the new system. You see myself starting from P12 in this race, but we're going to talk about that in a separate video. I'm going to try and analyze the points and give my view of the new system in a separate video. But for this video, we're going to be talking mainly about this race, obviously, and also some of the other stuff that went on in this race. Now, there is actually a very, very bad new bug that has developed that has basically been found by mistake, I think, by Marcus. You can see Marcus starting in P1 there. He's starting this race on the medium tyres. I'm starting this race on the hybrid. I've actually got the medium on the front and the hard on the rear. As we go through the first corners and get wiped onto the grass nearly, the guy behind just basically drove through that corner as if I wasn't there, ignored the fact that I was there, so I give it back, and basically I wasn't going to let him just take that, and I decided we're going to fight that one back and give as good as we get basically through there. But now going through the corners front, and it's absolute chaos. There was a lot of very dodgy driving in this race, I would say. It was pretty bad in race 1 as well, I think. However, this second slot of the day, we see an opportunity up the inside there, try and dive up the inside to take a position, knowing that he's probably going to get the undercut, but it was worth a go. He kind of was very hesitant on the brake, so I thought I'd try and get myself up into that P10 position, because we know how troubling it is when you're in this dirty air. Now, we do know that there is going to be a new update coming to the game that will be sorting out some of this driving in the slipstream. It's actually going to be reducing the effect of loss of aero when you're following a car. So for Group 2 cars, this is very nice news, because it's hopefully going to make these Group 2, Group 1 races a little bit more enjoyable in the future as we go through that very tricky right-hand corner. I was pretty much struggling at this combination. I don't think the car particularly suits me in this Group 2. I really like Group 2 as a class, but since the older model cars have become a little bit stronger, I have actually started to suffer a little bit within Group 2 since that has happened. So it's possibly due to the a little bit more understeer you get with this version of this car. However, it seems to be the fastest version now with the way they've got the new BOP for Group 2. It's a bit of a shame. I wish that they were in separate classes so that we could drive the older versions on the actual BOP that they should be running, rather than increasing their power and stuff. I think it just makes the cars feel a bit false. They shouldn't really be driving like this, but this is how it is. And this lobby, every single person in the exact same car. That shows you just how strong this car was at this layout. I think all 20 drivers picked the 08 version because it was clearly the better version for the race. As we go through the first sector, just trying to hold on to his position at the moment. You can see obviously with the hybrid split, the advantage that I'm going to get with this tyre choice is that gets rid of my compulsory usage of the hard tyre. So I will not have to run the hard compounds through both on the front and rear at any point in this race. We're going to go probably to about lap 6 or 7 with this combination. And the reason we're doing that is because when you start further back in the grid, there's no point you wasting a set of mediums when you're probably going to get stuck in traffic like we are now. So at the moment, we're stuck around 1 second back. We've been nudged at pretty much every single opportunity by the guy behind us. He's been hitting us up the rear. Multiple opportunity, pretty much every corner we were getting hit from him. It'd be kind of annoying when you've got drivers like that behind you that just keep hitting you every corner they come to, and you kind of lose confidence in whether you can rely on them not just going for a random move. But eventually we're starting to settle down into a bit of a routine now, and I can start trying to concentrate on catching P10 up now that obviously we've developed that little bit of a gap now to P2. You can see that he's not really close enough to hit us at the moment yet anyway. as we go through this right hand corner, and again lifting off the throttle, and just we're pretty much nearly losing the slipstream, so the loss of aero isn't as strong as when you're right behind someone, so we should be able to start catching back up to that little the battle of 4 or 5 cars that's ahead of us now, which you can see there is actually P5 is not actually that far ahead at the moment. But this is the issue on Gran Turismo. When you've got this slipstream, when you lose the aero, there's not much you can really do in terms of your lap time. You pretty much just get stuck in this horrible zone where you can't gain much time. Now obviously if you've got a fresh set of tyres, sometimes you can go for a move, but at the moment you see we're just trying to keep it nice and smooth, just keep it on the track. Now we've got rid of the pretty aggressive driver that's behind. You can see he's not getting close enough in the corners. Now we've got ourselves into the routine, and also the hybrid tyre split that we're running on that one is it can be a bit dodgy. You do find that the front end's got a lot of grip because the front tyres on the softer compound warm up a little bit quicker. As Fatal goes off wide there, we're going to go down the left hand side. He did try and block that, but I think he realised right at the end that I was going down that left hand side, and I get that position with quite a nice move. It was risky, but I had to go down that left hand side because I couldn't have gone down the right with the way the corner progresses around there. But luckily for myself, we're up a position. Fatal obviously losing out on position, and as we were saying, yeah, when you're running the medium tyre on that front and the hard on the rear, the hard takes a little bit longer to warm up. So you find with this car it was a little bit tricky for the first few laps, but now that the temperatures are starting to get up to a nice range on the rear as well as the front, and with the dirty air, it's kind of actually starting to balance quite nicely. So you've got a bit of a stronger front end, and that's helping with the fact that you get a lot of understeer when in the slipstream, which is quite good when the fact that we're also getting rid of that hard tyre usage now in P10 in the race. So there's potential to get ourselves up a few more places in this race. The only problem we're going to have is trying to actually make passes. That is the biggest problem at the moment on the Gran Turismo high downforce cars. As we take a look on the replay camera, you see everyone just sat within like quite equal. You see there's a bit of a battle going on behind us. I think some cars that were obviously starting further back might have risked going on the mediums, and they're also going to have a little bit more grip. But you can see he's actually ran wide there. I don't know how he's whether he's managed to come back and track safely. It looks like there's a lot of battling going on behind us at this stage. But you can see in general a lot of cars within about, they're just all around that 1 second range from each other. Can't really do much. There's not really that much opportunity as we see utter chaos going on behind us there on the replay camera. You can see 4 cars just bouncing off each other. It was quite a messy race, this race. There was a lot of issues. The pinball physics again affecting people when they get hit by a car and another car ricochets off another car. It's something that, again, I've said this before, I really hope that on the next installation of Gran Turismo they try and get some sort of like crunching mechanism into the physics, so the cars visibly get damaged, but the cars actually take some of the force when you get hit by a car. It's not like they just ricochet off, but they actually the car will actually deflect some of that force that's been hit by, because in real life that's what happens. In this it's very much a pinball, like you can see it. The car gets hit and it ricochets off another car, and then that car ricochets off another car, and it all gets a little bit messy. But in this race you can see again, it's very much a train of cars. You can see that the leader, Marcus, was absolutely flying around here again. We did know that Marcus would be very, very fast. We raced him in a practice race and he did the fastest time I think I'd seen out of anyone. I think he had done something like a 20, finishing on the 20-second mark, as P9 runs a little bit wide there, maybe picking up a little bit of dirty tyres. Possible he might be struggling through this left-hand corner, but again, that is probably because he's running in that slipstream. And you can see I've actually started to get a little bit close now. We've dropped the guys, the people behind us. We've got, I say drop, but we've given ourselves a comfortable gap behind. However, we're in that horrible range where you get stuck in the slipstream. As we fast forward a few laps, and you can see it's still very much a static situation. Stuck around that 7/10 to a second, around there behind the car, and we're not really able to make any progress. You just get stuck in this horrible zone. I'm not particularly great at driving in the slipstream in high downforce in cars. I do like to have a bit of clean air. I do a lot better in clean air. Some drivers can actually get a little bit more out of the car, I think, when they're driving in the slipstream, but in general everyone suffers quite badly. As we're going to go in the pits this lap, go onto a new set of tyres. Car in front also pits, which is a shame. I was kind of hoping he might stay out and I might be able to get a jump on him. But we also see Marcus there, which is pitted for another set of mediums, I believe, on that lap, along with ourselves. So Marcus going for probably a medium. So I think he started on mediums as well. I wasn't sure if he was going to start on the alternative strategy that I was doing. However, starting from the front of the grid, you kind of want to just run the mediums because you want the best grip off the start line. So it's very risky to run the hybrid strategy starting at the front of the grid. So I think when we checked the replay at the end of this race, because we had to go through the replay because of the bug that we found out, we're going to talk more about that at the end of this race and what we found out and the experimenting we did and basically what it means for future FIA races. But for this race at the moment, you can see we're on lap 7, coming up to nearly halfway through the race. We're in P11, made up a position so far in this race. It's not gone particularly amazing. However, we've made a pit stop. We should be able to jump a few more cars once they do their pit strategy. Now, some people are probably doing a 1-stop. We're doing a 2-stop back strategy in this race. For the first race of the day, we did actually do a 1-stop strategy, I think it was. We pitted on lap 8 or 9 or something, and then went for a run on the softer tyres. We did make up a few positions. I think we ended up about P8, but I mean, I could have showed you that race, but I think this race is more important in terms of what goes on in this race, the current issues with the penalty system as well. There's more issues that is going to crop up in this race. As VLX Chris there running on completely worn tyres. He's got no grip at all, and I've got fresh tyres. I really want to get past him. You see, going down the right hand side, I thought he was going to give me space on the outside there, but he decided to come back over the track, and you can see the difference in grip as we go through the corner. We've got so much more grip, and there I thought he was going on. It didn't look like he was doing the pit lane entry, because normally when I'm going in the pits that corner, I'll take a very tight line down to third gear, but he basically took a line like he wasn't going to pit, and then he lifted, I think, and then dived off into the pit. So not really his fault with the taps. It was I think a bit of a misjudgment from my end as well, not knowing that he was going to pit. So no real massive loss. I was a bit annoyed on the stream, but it didn't really affect me. I maybe lost a tenth or so, or a couple of attempts, as we now come out. And Dilster's just pitted. You see he's going to have fresher tyres now. He did come out of a penalty there, so I don't know if he's picked that up on the pit lane entry. I see him having to go defensive. I was going to try and brake late and then cut back here now. You can see, tried to cut back, but it's not going to work. Dilster's obviously got fresh medium tyres on as well. I think he had been doing the hybrid split similar to myself, so he's possibly going to be going for a 1-stop strategy pitting at this point of the race. It'd be interesting to see as we now follow behind Dilster and see if we can make any progress. The problem is, though, again, Dilster's a fast driver as well, so it's hard actually to, even I think I probably had a bit more speed overall with the strategy I was running. However, again, we're stuck behind cars and not really being able to do much, and this is the thing that I think I've been told that it will be getting sorted, and I think if it does, it's going to make the races a lot more enjoyable to watch as well, because at the moment Group 2, Group 1 tend to be very much single file, not really much overtaking. Someone's made a massive mistake that I didn't actually catch who that was. Off the track there, made an error. Maybe the tyres were running low, grip, they could have been out on worn tyres, but that moves us up to P9 in this race. So far we're up 3 positions from our starting grid. Not too bad really. We're making progress. As long as you go forward in a race, and normally I'm pretty happy as long as I don't go backwards. But now we're stuck in this slipstream, and we're probably not going to make much progress. You see, you kind of just fall into the trap of just being stuck, and you see again we move all the way to the end of lap 10, and we're still just around 1.4, 1.5 seconds back. I didn't really want to be too close because it was just killing the tyres, and you can see for the first few laps I did stay. For the next lap after that I stayed quite close to the slipstream, but for this lap I fell out a little bit. But every time you go through a corner section, you get right back into the slipstreams. It's pretty much impossible to keep it at the range where you're not getting the dirty air and to look after the tyres. So I decided we're going to pit now and get a new set of tyres on and try and see if we can come back at the end of the race a bit. We're about 1.6, 1.5 seconds behind here. So by the time we finish our pit stop, we're going to be about 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds behind. But you see there, P7 has actually got a penalty, and this could work out for me. So I decided we're going to go in the pits. If he pits on the next lap after taking that penalty, this could mean we might be able to get a jump over him at some point in this race, especially if he's still got to use the hard tyres. Now, some people will have had to have still gone on the hard tyres. That's very important because we got rid of that usage of the hard tyre on that first stint. Some of the drivers starting further towards the front might have decided to do a different strategy. As you can see in front of us now, the only issue we've got now is we now have a P10 who's actually on worn tyres. We came across him when we started our stint on the other set of tyres before he went in the pit, so he's now been on them tyres for a few laps. Them tyres that he is on is going to be quite worn. Fatal managed to get past him there. I think Fatal also on quite worn tyres at this point of the race, so we're going to be able to jump both of them drivers by the time they pit, or if they pit again, so we're going to have to do some overtaking on track, which could be a bit of a problem. We've seen I do tend to struggle when following other cars, but with this extra grip, we should be able to make a move somewhere on this track if we get close enough. There are opportunities if you get within a couple of attempts, you can actually just go for a bit of a lunge, but lunges can be quite dangerous. You've got to have faith in the other car that they're not going to just cut you off as we go through this right hand corner, trying to get the pound nice and early. Actually doing that pretty well there, up into third gear and carrying good speed. You can see the extra grip we've got over the cars in front, gaining about 2 tenths on the corners, and every acceleration down the traction zones is where we seem to be gaining quite a lot as we go through this right hand corner. You're going to see again into that dirty air. Now we've got into the slipstream range, and now we've just got to try and see how close we can get before we make a move and try and overtake the cars, or a car. As you see, a massive moment for P10. He nearly loses control of that car, sliding all over the track, and that was a big moment for him. He nearly lost it as Fatal goes in the pits, decides to change his tyres, so he's going to have 1 lap fresher tyres than me, but we've definitely got ahead of him. There's no worry that he's going to jump us. Obviously with the situation with with how these races work, it doesn't matter if you've got 1 lap older tyres, I'd say, when the car's behind you, because they're going to find it very hard to get past you. But at the moment now, we've got to find our way past P9. Now he's on quite a few lap older tyres. I think they're about 3 or 4 lap older. I presume they were mediums, although they could have also been hards if you've been doing a extended medium stint and then pitted once for a set of hard tyres. So he's going to have a lot less grip, as I decided to just go for a lunge. Had to go for it. He's got such slower speed at the moment than what I've got, but again you can see didn't manage to get the apex turned around and the rotation on the car to actually carry the speed, so ended up straight back behind P9. But it was kind of worth a go. You've got to do moves like that if you want to go and get yourself in ahead of these drivers and give yourself some clean air. As you can see in front of him, there's a nice little area of clean, no one there, so I'm going to be able to actually put the foot down. As you see, he's actually put his indicator on there, so he's going to let me through, which is quite nice. Thank you very much, VLX Chris, for letting me pass there and give myself a little bit of a boost, because you can see he's struggling with tyres. He's probably not going to lose much behind me, because I should be out of his pretty much won't be giving him dirty air within a few corners, because I've got so much more grip at this point of the race compared to him. But what we can see in front of us is the driver that had the penalty. He's around about a pit stop behind. He's actually 3.4 now, and this is good for me. I can see the gap. If he pits this lap, I should actually jump him, and I was actually hoping that he would go in the pits this lap, because then I get some clean air. I was hoping he wouldn't try and extend the stim. However, I believe he pits now because he's still got to run the hard tyre. You'll see it on the screen at the moment. He's still got to put them hard tyres on, which gives me the jump over him. And you see just about coming out ahead. You can see he's on the inside there. We can brake a little bit later on these medium tyres. He's got the hard tyres, so he's going to be struggling possibly for a bit of grip. I'm probably going to fall back a bit now. This is perfect now, really. We're up into P8 in this race. It's not been an amazing race. We've gained 4 positions so far, but we've made steady progress, and now we've got a bit of clean air, even though the tyres are probably a little bit more worn than what we would like at this stage, because obviously driving around behind other drivers. But we can start seeing if we can put some pressure on P7, push as hard as we can to the end of this race. We've only got about 2 or 3 laps, 2.5 laps to do it, but we're going to go as aggressive as I can and try and make up some time on Dealster. Put him under pressure, that's the main thing. You can see the advantage that Dealster actually had. He was only just in front of us when we pitted for a fresh set of tyres, and we didn't actually get any advantage from that fresh set of tyres. You can see that the gap's pretty much static, and that shows you just how much time you can lose when you're following other cars. And you've really got to work your strategy in these Group 2 races to be in clean air. And sometimes it's luck, sometimes it does come down to choices you make, but a lot of the time it is luck, because if a car sees you not pit, very often they'll pit just to get the undercut on you, and vice versa. If you pit early, sometimes some cars will say, oh, you've got to be looking for a gap. Sometimes you can pit early and end up behind a group of cars and totally lose out. As we see TX3 Marcus there, you might have seen it on the screen. I think he went in the pits there, put a hard set of tyres on. Now this is very relevant. He's just gone onto the hard set of tyres, so that's a compulsory usage. He's going to be doing 3 laps on them hard tyres, so he should have no issues with penalties. However, when we get to the end of this race, you're going to see a big problem with this game at the moment, and hopefully something that will get patched very quickly, because the issue that he had, I've actually had recently with my wheel. If you've been watching a recent stream not long ago, you may have seen my steering wheel randomly click through the buttons and go through to the X and B menu, which then pauses your in-game race, puts you on auto drive for a little bit. Now, this issue isn't something that's happened many a times. It's probably happened to me, I think, about 2 or 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Since I've retightened everything up, cleaned the the actual connectors up, and hopefully it won't be as bad, but it's something that could happen to anyone. If your control pad dies or something like that while you're racing, it could put you on auto drive before you can get a lead and get it back on. But these are things that could happen in anyone's race, really. I do know that Thrustmaster wheels do tend to have an issue. I think he was actually on the G29 when he has this issue. But you see, again, we've gone through to the final lap of this race, and what you're going to see now is pretty much sums up Gran Turismo's penalty system, and something that hasn't been fixed for a long time. And I really hope that we can get this penalty system sorted one day. Now, we saw a pretty bad penalty in the manufacturer race, which we will be showing you tomorrow. However, going through this corner, Dilso's made a massive mistake. He's gone over to the left on the racing line, hit the curb, and he's lost control, and that's me into the wall, and I got a 5-second penalty for that. Now, this was really frustrating, because not only do I get a 5-second penalty, I'm out, pretty much lost the position in the race. We also got, you can see the engine damage, all the red flashing. We've got no power down the straight, and we're just going to lose places to everyone. So really frustrated at this point. You can see going through the corner, I was just basically saying go through, there's no point. I put my hazards on there just to say you might as well go, because I've got no power, you're going to get past anyway. And I was very frustrated. You can see on the stream, I didn't speak, I just stayed quiet, because I thought it's best just to be quiet and not vent, because if I vent I'll probably say something I regret. We kept it pretty calm, and just, I thought before I say anything, we're just going to try and chill out a bit and calm myself down. Probably something that I should do more in streams rather than just raging at people. We're going to just try and keep it calm as I physically can. We go over the line, finish the race. Not too happy, you can see, obviously, because we're going to get a 5-second penalty, which is going to drop me down to P, I don't know, 13 or 12 or something like that, but not very good. But what you need to look on screen now is P6. Marcus won the race by quite a big margin. However, he has a 20-second penalty. Now, the 20-second penalty is only initiated when you do not use the hard tyre. However, we saw Marcus go on to the hard tyre. So this is a little bit of an issue. First of all, though, let's have a little look at the incident with Dilster when he lost control of his car and he rejoined the track. So we're going to have a little look now from the chase camera. We're just driving normal, not really expecting anything to happen here. You know, final lap of the race. Predicted that Dilster would be taking it easier, but he's had a massive moment, lost control. Now he goes over to the left. I think really should have stayed over to the right with the speed that he was going. He tried to stay to the left, I think, there, but lost control. Clean wipe now into the wall. I get a 5-second penalty, and frustrating, he only actually got a 1.5-second penalty for that incident. So I come away with a bigger penalty than the driver that actually caused it. Now they do need to do something with this, because they need to understand when a car's lost control before the contact, because I was nowhere near him when he's lost control. And hopefully they can do something about it. It's quite frustrating to be on the receiving end of a penalty like that. But however, have a look at this. Marcus now, he started the race on the medium tyre. You know, this is the start of the race. Lap 1, medium tyres on our screen at the moment, so 100% we know that he's used, obviously he started on the medium tyre. Now, the bug that we've discovered will affect you differently depending on what tyre you start the race on. So if you start on the hards, it will do something a little bit different, but for this, you can see they're medium tyres, and that's fine. Then he's gonna go, he's pitted, and you can see he's still on the medium tyres, so he's got a pit stop. I think is he going to pit on this lap? Let's just check. He's into the pits now. Ignore the right hand side with what it says there, because that's just a bug with the replays. He's into the pits now. This is his first pit stop. He's put another set of medium tyres on, so he still has to use the hard tyres. So fair enough at this stage. Yeah, he hasn't used the hard tyres. You know, he needs to use them hard tyres at some point in the race, but as of yet he hasn't. However, we're going to jump through to his next pit stop on, I think it's going to be lap 13, and he's gonna put in go into the pits and put a set of hard tyres on for the last 2 laps. Let's just double check that the hard tyres go on. He's going into the pits, putting a set of hard tyres on, and no issues as we can see yet. But what we did need to do is keep an eye on the screen. I don't know if we show it at the moment. Let's just go through this corner. What you're going to see is going through this corner here, I believe it is. Look at the hazards. The hazards have come on there. Now, the pause menu's been hit. He's having trouble with his wheel. Some people are trying to say he's done this deliberate, but there is no benefit to it. There is literally no reason why he would have done that, because he's in the lead by a long way. Look at the gap that he's got. He's got no need to mess around. But wheel issues, this is quite a common thing with wheels. They do tend to just randomly press buttons. I've had it so many times with my T500, with my T-GT, and at the moment there's no real issue. He's still on the racing hard tyres. So looking at this, it all looks okay at the moment. He's going to complete a lap on the hard tyres. You know, unless he pits again now and puts another set of mediums on, which would be totally pointless because you're not going to throw away 4 seconds. You know, he's more than, I think he's probably about 4 or 5 seconds in the lead at this stage. So technically he could probably risk it and just do that, but he's not going to need to. He's got a comfortable lead over Spider at the moment, so he should be able to take quite a comfortable win in this race. As we keep following him now on lap 14, and what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to pay attention again to the very similar corner as what we've just seen happen. Going just after the pit lane exit, going through turn 1, keep your eye on the hazard indicators again. We need to keep an eye on that, and then we're going to slow motion it down. And at that point, when we go into slow motion, keep your eyes on the HUD where it says racing hard tyres, because what you're about to witness is a HUD bug that is going to actually affect his usage of tyres. So his steering wheel is going to bug out again through this corner. It doesn't matter if it bugs out. If you accidentally press start, it's going to have the same effect as well if you go into the pause menu. So again, keep your eye on the hazards. Hazards are going to come on right now. There's the hazard. So his wheel has bugged out again. He's put it into probably the XMB or something like that. He's having to get out of that, press the XMB to get back out and go back into the game. And at the point of going back into the game, you can see that the tyres have switched over to racing medium on the HUD. Now we have actually tested this out live on stream in a public lobby as well, and it does it. As soon as you've pitted, if you press the pause button, it changes the HUD to say that you're on the opposite tyre to what you was on before. It's basically, it'll change it back to whatever you started the race on. Now it doesn't actually change your grip levels. We've tested it out. It keeps the same grip levels with the tyres that you should be on, so you don't get any benefit from it. And also it doesn't reset tyre wear. We tested all that out. It is just a HUD bug. However, that HUD bug is actually affecting his overall position because it's actually not recognizing that he used the hard tyre because of that issue that he's pressed, or the steering wheel's bugged out on him. He's pressed pause. However, this is going to affect more than one person, because it only takes someone to have to just go into auto drive for 2 seconds to do something in a race. Maybe in lower down splits, people will probably do this very often. If they're 20 seconds clear, I just need to pause it a second just to check something. There goes your hard usage of tyre, because it resets it back to the tyre that you started the race on. Now this also resets back if you use a hybrid combination. It will reset it back to that as well. So it is quite a big issue with the game, and they need to sort it out, because TX3 Marcus ended up in P6 when he should have had a race victory from that race, and quite disappointing from his perspective to lose out on the maximum amount of points that he should have got. Now Polyphony need to get this sorted very quick, because it could be a very serious issue if this was for a World Finals situation or something like that, an official season, then it would have been very, very nasty for someone to get that bug. Now we don't know how long this bug has actually been in the game. We discovered it last night. I don't know if people already know about this bug, but hopefully they can get it sorted, and I will actually be trying to get some sort of direct message towards Gran Turismo just to let them know that this bug is in the game and they need to sort it out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be aware, do not press that start button or the pause button or anything when you're in the race, because it will reset your tyres. And if you hadn't already used the hard tyres, that means that you're going to get a 20-second penalty in your race, and you do not want that. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe on screen with the subscription link, and watch the other video if you want to take a look at a different video on the channel. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll be back very soon.